Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Today we'll be talking about creating ChatGPT personal assistant mobile app using React.js. In this video, I will be giving step-by-step approach to implement mobile app using React.js and integrate with ChatGPT API library. So stay tuned. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit like button. Therein you can create a username and register yourself as with a particular username. And once you log in, you will be able to see the home screen of the OpenAI platform. OpenAI platform has AI generative models using deep learning, which leverages on large amount of data, which is trained using AI system to perform certain tasks. It has text analysis model, it has text generation model, it has image generative models based on the text descriptions, audio generating model, speech recognition, and music composition as well. The models are built upon wealth of previous projects and a huge amount of data sets, public data sets, and as well as through research. Here you can notice that there are different tutorials that are available along with some examples, and you can build applications using the options provided here, the links. But we are more interested in generating a set of API keys. Click on personal and view API keys. Basically, you can find all the set of API keys that are generated here, and just remember to store these keys once you have generated. And under billing section, you can set up the payment, and basically the payments could be set up here, and the options provided here, the links. But we are more interested in generating a set of API keys. Click on personal and view API keys. Basically, you can find all the set of API keys that are generated here, and just remember to store these keys once you have generated. And under billing section, you can set up the payment, and basically the payments could be set up here, and you can also set up the usage limits. So it is the maximum usage limits that you want to set for a given period. And the pricings are quite competitive, and as you can see that for every 1000 tokens, it is $0.06. For ChatGPT, it is around $0.002 for every 1000 tokens. Uh, yeah. So once you have the keys that are generated using the View API keys, store it as part of your project, and then we'll move on to the actual coding. Now I'm going to use Visual Studio Code for developing a React Native application. So you can use any IDE you are comfortable with. So let's get started. Before starting the project, install Node.js into your current system. And while recording this, basically I have downloaded latest version, that is 20.1.0 version. To install Node.js, you have to visit nodejs.org/en/download/current, and you can directly download from the website based on Mac and Windows and install it in your local machine. To test the Node version, just type in node-v and it will provide you the Node version that is currently installed. Next, you might have to install React Native CLI using npm command. This will enable us to create React Native projects. So the command is npm install React Native CLI. Next, use React Native init command to initialize a new project. So this will create a bare minimum React Native application. So we got an error because we are using the PowerShell and we are not authorized. So let's use the different approach. So here you can notice that I have used the command prompt. So you can create the command prompt using this particular approach. You can select command prompt here. So I'm going to execute this. So this is basically creating a bare minimum React Native application. And you can notice that within this, the package.json got created. And we will also see a few JS files also getting created here. All right, so now you notice that the packages got created. Here we will create two projects called app.js and main.js. Next, we install OpenAI library for the React Native, and post that we also install Expo. If you don't have React command installed, you can also use npm install OpenAI. As you can see, the npm OpenAI got installed in the application. So next, we install the Expo. Once the Expo is installed, let us proceed with next. So here you can notice that I have used the command prompt. So you can create the command prompt using this particular approach. You can select command prompt here. So I'm going to execute this. So this is basically creating a bare minimum React Native application. And you can notice that within this, the package.json got created. And we will also see a few JS files also getting created here. All right, so now you notice that the packages got created. Here we will create two projects called app.js and main.js. Next, we install OpenAI library for the React Native, and post that we also install Expo. If you don't have React command installed, you can also use npm install OpenAI. As you can see, the npm OpenAI got installed in the application. So next we install the Expo. Once the Expo is installed, let us proceed with next step. So once the Expo got get installed, you can test your app directly using your mobile phones. The mobile phones could be either Android or iOS, which you can scan using the QR code, and basically it launches the application. You have to install an app in mobile called Expo Go, which basically helps you to scan the QR code that gets generated, and then you can launch the application in your mobile phone. This basically helps in saving your system resources when you are using emulators. The emulators takes a lot of system resources to run in your local machine. So Expo is quite useful when you're developing application, and it also uploads the project real time. So whenever you modify the React.js files, so it immediately and save the file, immediately pushes those files to the mobile, so that you can see the real time updates on your mobile. Following are the dependencies that you might have to install in your application. One is React Native, and next is React, and next is npm install Expo, then npm install OpenAI. So once we have this dependencies get installed, I'll fast forward to that particular step. So now we have all the modules that are now installed, including OpenAI. So we have OpenAI, we have React, we have Expo, which is now installed. So let's move to the next step. Let's create a new file called app.js. So React Native combines native development with React plus a JavaScript library for building AI. It's basically written in JavaScript rendered in native code. There are it's React Native sorry React supports multiple platforms, be it native applications or web applications. So there are four concepts within React. One is component, JSX, props, and state. We'll go through this in detail now. So app is a component. It's basically first we import all the set of libraries that are required for this particular component. Here we have taken libraries called native and stack from React Navigation. The name of the component is called app, and we provide the title within the stack.screen. All these are basically retrieved from the libraries which we have defined here. Uh, so the component app starts as a function. It starts as a function, then it whatever the returned value, what you see here is basically rendered as a React element. This is what you see on the screen, and then it can also load any number of sub components which are nested, right? So the second part is JSX. JSX is a syntax to write elements inside JavaScripts, like HTML tags. So what you see here, you can write a text, or you can have input text, you can have labels and so forth, right? So you can nest the elements to render them as a single value. Coming up to the second component is a second concept is props. So props are nothing but properties within React which customize React components for setting property values. For example, we are setting a component value property value on change text of text input area with a value called text, right? So basically it will set this particular value, whatever the input that has been provided by the user. So we take the input from the user, and then raise an event on text change event, and we set the value for text. So that's about props. And second part is the state. State is components data storage or memory. When we use import statement, right? Use state and then import it from the React. Basically, we are importing it. So we will create a hook to add state to the function components. In this example, we are adding state to input and output variable. So what you see here, there are two variables called input and output, and we are using use state as empty string value for these two. And set input is basically a function defined to set the values for this particular variable. Similarly, set output is a function defined to set value to output variable. And we can use this function to set values to, for example, your set input is basically setting empty string to the input variable, and set output is basically setting the response of the this method, the method calls to output variable. So now moving on to the app, basically we are having the main entry point here, and we are rendering this particular return value, and we are also loading a component called main. So React as a stack approach in rendering the screens. So we can push and pop from the stack. So we can have multiple screens added as in stack, and we can push and pop from the stack accordingly. So here there is only one particular item for this example. We have main component, and once we see the main component, so we create a configuration to read the process environment variable. So this is the environment variable which we created, and you can have an environment variable created in a new file called .env, env, and you can set the variable equal to API key of OpenAI, which I had copied previously once you had created. So once you have set the we create a configuration to read the process environment variable for the OpenAPI key, and then we create an instance of OpenAPI library method providing the input. And here, basically, we are invoking the method called for OpenAPI create completion. When we are invoking, we are using a model called text DaVinci 03 model, which is quite common model used for text generation. And there are multiple parameters which you can set for while calling this particular model, like temperature, max token, stop p, and so forth. So temperature basically is the randomness or creativity that are to be set for this particular model. We have set it to 0, so there is no randomness in the output created. And max tokens is which affects the billing, which is the max number of tokens to use for the completion of the result generations. And p is basically number of words which is used to predict next set of words. So basically this could be uh, mainly used for text generation and analysis. So once the model output is available, it is set to say output variable in this particular array text. Post that, we basically display it in the one of the text area called text area, which supports multi-line, and we provide the output here. So the text input area is here, where we user enters the text, and we have a button which on press will handle the input, which basically calls this particular OpenAPI method, and results are outputted to text area. So this is pretty much the app React Native application development, and there are some set of styles which are created. It's not necessary for you to use this, but we have created this as part of the exercise, and it is available in my GitHub link, which I've provided as part of our description. So with the React code ready, let us start with creating using Expo. Will generate the Expo QR code. Then we scan the QR code in our mobile app Expo Go, and then launch the application. So let's start with that. So we use the command npx expo start. Let me just refresh the screen. So here we have the Expo QR code which is available, and you can use this to launch in the mobile. And here you can also see multiple options like press W, press J, press R, M, right? So here you can see that now I have scanned the code. Now I'm able to launch the application in my mobile app. So we'll discuss about how it will look like in the mobile app. But sometimes you might have to debug the code and check if it has any kind of errors. You can do that by pressing the J, as you can see in the screen, open debugger by pressing J. So I'm just going to press J. So it's going to open a separate browser where I can basically see the browser application, and specifically select that particular browser component. Here you can see the browser is launched. I'm in console tab. Let me go to source tab, expand this, and basically you can find both app.js and main.js. I'll go to main.js. I put the breakpoint wherever it is needed, and then I can debug it. So here you can see that I'm able to debug, and I'm finding the different breakpoints. I can see the values of each of these variables set. So I basically, through this approach, you can debug the application and check if React Native is behaving properly. You can also modify the source code, and since React Native is very immediate, once you modify the source code in Visual Studio Code and just save the file, it immediately pushes the updates to mobile app, that is Expo Go. So in the mobile Expo Go, basically I was able to scan the QR code, and I was able to launch the application. As you can see, Alfred Personal Assistant. Basically, this Alfred provides real-time answers to your queries. Example: what is today's weather in my city? What is today's stock price of Microsoft? Who is Alan tuning, and much more. So let us see the sample in the mobile application. So here you can type in the query. For example, what is today's weather in London? So basically, once you click on send, it interacts with OpenAPI and then returns the value. Today's weather in London is mostly cloudy with 18 degrees Celsius and 11 degrees Celsius low. Now, what is the Microsoft stock price? We're able to see those details as well. So that's pretty much it. And if you like the video content, please feel free to
subscribe, and also click on like button, and please put more comments so that I can create more effective videos. And the GitHub link is provided in below description, and you can go through those. Thank you.